Hi, Kane Bugeja here with Capsule, and I am here with Yuri Lowenthal and Platt, one of the primo couples of voice acting.
Thank you.
Since I mentioned that very smoothly to introduce it,
Yeah.
does it ever strike you as a little bit odd how public your relationship is in a way, just because of what you do and who you are to everyone?
Yeah, I guess it's inevitable that our relationship would be somewhat public, and it's okay for some of that to be public, and we just try to keep the stuff that we want to keep private, and but it's fun because we do work together as often as possible, and
We can travel together to go to conventions. We work on a lot of the same shows. But we got into acting separately before we met, and we met working together in a film, and then from there we got into voiceover work. And so we were already married when we started our voiceover career, so it felt like it was something that was already...
Nothing to hide, although we do hide some stuff.
So yeah, it's interesting that there's a few out there in the anime. It's interesting to see that it does have an impact on the way that you act, like on the work that you get and everything like that. Would you say it had an impact from being hired and everything like that? That people know that you can obviously talk to each other. Right. If they had perhaps two characters that needed to like bounce off each other, that you could.
I don't think they take that into account when they're hiring us. I think it's much more our vocal quality. And usually when we work together, he plays the heroic type and I play a villain. So we're not actually playing romantic love interest characters. So it's actually kind of fun that we get typecast in a way of something completely different.
And sometimes it allows us to work out our aggressions, in a safe way while we work. We've been cast sometimes before as the hero and the villain, and we get to fight it out. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously individually you're both very good voice actors, and you have a very long list of achievements. But as much as people come to you and specifically reference a role that you've done and ask for autographs and geek out over your role, do you have any that you would consider your iconic role?
There are, like you said, there are people who like us for different things. So, but certain ones do come out. Those do sort of rise to the surface as being iconic and associated with us. Sasuke from Naruto, definitely. The Prince from the Prince of Persia series, another one. Those are two big ones that come up over and over, but everybody's got a different thing that they like. So sometimes somebody will come up and say, "Oh, I loved you in Afro Samurai," and then the next person in line will be like, "I've never even heard of Afro Samurai," so.
But then they're like, "Oh my God, I loved you in Superman," it's everybody's got their own.
Yeah, I mean, for me, playing Superman was a big deal because I'm, a geek from way back, so.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool because then I also played Wonder Woman, and that was the kind of cool thing that Wonder Woman and Superman are married, even though it had nothing to do because they were two very different shows. They weren't the same show.
Yeah, even in that you play a whole bunch of different sort of roles, like you said, like Sasuke, and then like, obviously Ben 10 and everything. They're very different roles. Is there anything? Do you find it more difficult to play one particular type of character?
It's funny because Ben Tennyson and Sasuke Uchiha are two very distinct parts of me. I mean, I would say that the part that rides more on the surface for me is Ben Tennyson. It's not, he and I are not that different. And so you could say, oh, well, so Sasuke is the different one. He is, but he's also deep down there inside, and I have to dig a little bit for him. But I think it's healthy for me to play Sasuke Uchiha as well.
Well, even just in the media of it as well, there's playing the DC characters and then also going back to the anime and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there much of a difference between the way that you actually record it? Like, is there a big Is there a big difference between recording like over a dub or?
Well, yeah, I mean, technically you record it in a different way if you're doing a dub or a video game rather than doing original animation, because for original animation you have the entire cast around microphones doing basically what the table read with scripts. When you're doing a dub, you have to bring in each actor individually for their session because it's too technical, because they're trying to time out the line and then go back and forth. It just doesn't make sense to have everyone to come into the same session. It would just, you wouldn't get anywhere. So it's much easier to record each individual actor separately. So for a video game or for a dub, you record by yourselves. And for original animation, you get to record in a group.
Which is fun, because you get to play with a bunch of other actors at the same time, and when you're there by yourself, you have to make up everything in your head.
Is it, like you said, just as much as it is being in a group and being individual, is it harder or easier, do you think, trying to follow after the original Japanese audio or coming up with your own interpretation without anything to base it off?
I think that a little more work goes into having to come after a Japanese performance, because you're thinking about a lot of things when you're dubbing. You're thinking about the original emotional intent. You're also watching to make sure that your dialogue is matching the lip flaps. So it's all this timing stuff, and you're thinking about it's like juggling sort of. Whereas when we're doing original records, you just go in there with what you got, and then they're going to animate later. So you have less to think about.
There's more freedom when you're doing original.
Yeah.
I'm not the creator, I'm just the writer.
That's it's interesting to hear, because I don't think a lot of people realize, like you said, with the Western, the original ones, everyone's all together in a group, which what I think a lot of people think happens in everything in the dubs, because all the timing goes into syncing it up. So does it ever interest you how much the fans come up and always treat everyone as like a cast, which they are, but often they might not have met before this convention?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, there's still actors that work on Naruto. I don't know who they are. I've never met them. I've never worked with them. Even though technically we work together because we're in the same show, I don't know them, or I don't know what actor performs which character. So it's really interesting, because a lot of the fans get sort of upset. They're like, how can you not have that information? How do you not know that? But it's different than if you're on a television show or in a feature film where you see the actors and you work with them every day. It's a very different type of circumstance.
Which that said, we are sometimes very close friends with some of the other actors as well.
True.
We hang out on our off time too.
All right. Well, I think we might have to wrap it up there a little bit, but yeah, I think that might be enough.
Thanks for asking really interesting questions. Absolutely.
Thanks for finding them interesting.